At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger, and we're taking a look at the visibility to start off this morning here. This is 6:31 on January 12th. It's a Monday. Hope you're having a good start to your work week here. It's showing 0-mile visibility in Chico. I don't know if I hold much validity to that, although I do expect to maybe see some of that fog in parts of Trinity County and even western Siskiyou County, where we are seeing some lower visibility there as well. Take a look at Sundial Bridge. This is on Highway 44, Sundial Bridge Drive. And you can see not much in the way of fog there. We're not really seeing much fog in the Sacramento Valley this morning. As you head to the south, a little bit, say, Sacramento southward, but nothing too terrible at this point. We're still kind of in the developing phases of all the ingredients coming into alignment for that fog to develop. You take a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road. I mean, you can look off in the distance there, you can see the radio towers, and you can still see those lights. With this fog and you have low visibility, you wouldn't be able to see out that far. Now, there is a freezing fog advisory for western Siskiyou County. This would include places like Scott Valley, Fort Jones, Etna, for example. But I don't think we're going to see a ton of that freezing fog elsewhere. All right, this is kind of a cool picture. This was sent to us by Kat, and she calls this Moon Kissing the Sun. Absolutely beautiful shot here. I want to thank Kat for sending in this photo. And if you want to share your photos and see them right here on Coffee with Krueger, very easy to do that. Just go to your free Weather NorCal app and you can share your photos for free. All right, take a look at those, your Krueger's Quickcast, that is, here for your January 12th. And it's Monday. It's a start to the work week, and it's a cold start. We're down to the low 30s in the valley this morning, although in Chico about 39, 40 in Oroville, and we've got those 20s for most of the higher elevations, especially to the east. It looks like even cold on the coast, mid to upper 30s there. So out the door this morning, there will be some fog out towards places like Trinity County, western Siskiyou County, but otherwise clear and cold conditions to start off the day. We have high pressure beginning to settle in. If you'll notice the arc in the clouds that are beginning to develop here, you'll notice how at the very beginning of the satellite loop, you have a flat line of clouds, and then we start to see it kind of bend and you start to see that arcing shape. Well, that's the high pressure beginning to build in. And this is something we've been talking about for a while. And I think this particular forecast model has been a little overly aggressive with some of that fog, because I don't think we're going to see what we're seeing here at 8 o'clock in the morning. But should anything develop, it does show that it would dissipate by midday. Again, maybe overly aggressive with fog tomorrow morning, but I do think as we progress over the next few days, the chances for fog will develop. But now I'm beginning to see signs that this fog that we see here this week is probably not going to be to the extent that we saw several weeks ago, where it persists all day and it's going to persist for a long time. just maybe a few days we could see some of that fog. So it's kind of one of those things where we've got that PTSD from all that terrible fog we saw several weeks ago. So everyone's worried that may be the case again. Probably not at this point in time. And it looks like overall, when you're looking at more sunshine and those warmer temperatures entering the picture too. Hey, if you're heading out to the ski park today, I know I am. I got to get my son out to a race today. And I was out there yesterday. I got to tell you what, it was gorgeous out there. I know a lot of people are getting concerned that it might be slushy or whatever. It wasn't. At least you get in the areas that don't get a lot of exposure to the sun. Higher you go, the colder it is, so you're not going to see it kind of soften up either. So I was very happy with the conditions, even in the afternoon hours. So at the top of Douglas, 40 inches. All the trails are open. It's groomed. Firm AM, but as you head into, say, the Marmot trails, there's a chance it may get a little bit slushy later in the day. And of course, it's all clear on the roads heading up there. Temperatures low 60s for most of us in the valley for today. So it's mild. It's not warming up a whole lot just yet. The high pressure is not completely at its full strength for today. It's building, it's getting stronger, and that's when our temperatures will start to increase. Tonight, we're dropping down to the upper 30s for the valley, 20s and 30s for the higher elevations, and probably once again in the mid to upper 30s for the coast. So fog pending will depend on what our temperatures do, but it's looking more and more promising that we could be talking about 70 degrees in the Redding area. I've got AM fog in there for your Tuesday, Wednesday for both Red Bluff and Redding, and AM fog most likely even for Chico as well. But as I mentioned, as we get closer to this time frame, we'll kind of have to watch to see if that actually develops. But right now, it looks like Tuesday, Wednesday will be the best chance. Now, there's still going to be a lot of fog, I think, in many of the mountain valleys, especially for Trinity County, the inland areas of Del Norte and Humboldt counties, and western Siskiyou County. Say Scott Valley, for example, probably going to see that fog for the next several mornings as well. But otherwise, it's a warming trend, and it will be warmer by the middle and latter part of this week, across the board, even the higher elevations. Can't see much on the Lake Oroville camera this morning. It's dark. It's still dark out there. But the night vision camera from Lake Oroville, North Forebay is showing that we've got the mainly clear skies out there. Now, if you look at Main Street Chico, this is why when we saw that visibility in Chico, it looks like we're seeing some fog developing. It looks a little foggy out there in the Chico area. This is not to be a surprise. Looks not too foggy, though, on Highway 99 at Neal Road, as you see, again, those radio towers off in the distance, indicating that the visibility is still fairly high. No fog as of right now, at least at the Sundial Bridge Drive on Highway 44, but there may be some patchy fog out there for parts of the valley as well. Now, we take a look at Sutter Buttes. You'll notice it's mainly clear there, but notice that little line of fog trying to develop there for parts. So this is to the south, mainly Butte County southward. So you kind of get the idea, some fog trying to develop. Once the sun comes up, though, any of that fog that tries to develop will pretty much be out of here. Taking a look at Crescent City Harbor District, there you can see some of the boats getting ready to go on out, although there is a small current advisory for today, so may not be the safest conditions out there for boating. Bald Hill West, looking down at Hoopa Valley, can't see much there. Looks like we're socked in with the fog there. That's the fog I was talking about for many of the mountain valleys here. This is looking at Soda Ridge. You can see the mountain, the peaks there, looking at the snow and the peaks there. You've got plenty of there's just a few high clouds there. This is looking out at Scott Valley, Fort Jones, right? And there you can see the fog that is socked in the valley there. This is that fog I was talking about for many of the mountain valleys of western Siskiyou, Trinity, Del Norte, and Humboldt counties as well. And we still have plenty of snow up at Lassen Park. We can't even see the benches and the picnic tables and the trails and all that good stuff. We've got a lot of snow that we had out there. Well, today is Monday, and we've got our Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, and we are going to meet a cockatoo by the name of Monroe. Check it out. Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. You're watching Turtle Bay, Wonderful World of Animals. Sharon Clay from Turtle Bay. We've got Monroe on your leg there. Monroe, kind of named after Marilyn Monroe, right?
She is.
She's a pretty blonde.
She's a beautiful blonde.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Yes.
Beautiful blonde. You agree?
Oh,
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So she is an umbrella cockatoo.
Okay.
So people always go cockatiel or cockatoo. So
Yeah,
cockatoos are the big ones. Cockatiels are the little gray ones.
Okay.
And then there's so many different species of cockatoo, and all of the cockatiels and cockatoos are found in Australasia. So Australia, Indonesia, that whole islands around there. And most of them get their name from the color or shape of their crest. So they have a crest. So you saw her lift it, there you go.
Yeah.
And hers is an umbrella. And so that's how she gets the name umbrella cockatoo.
So the reasoning for this umbrella, is it for mating? What is that for?
It's communication, and they'll
Okay.
lift it up when they're super excited, when they're
Okay.
happy, but they'll also lift it up when they are not happy as well. So you kind of have to read more of the body language. Like right now, she's bouncing, and the crest is
Obviously
up. That's
happy.
excitement. But basically, the crest is like a heightened state. So it could be a good or a
And
upset
I
one.
think because sometimes you'll have Monroe out there in the cage, and I'll come and then I'll walk up, and then it goes up. So
Yeah.
it's probably like, I don't know you that well.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Yeah.
in that scenario, I'm going to look a little bit bigger, just in case that you're a threat.
Well, and it works
So-
because if I were to see that bird in the wild and it did that, I'd be like, okay, all right, I'm gonna stay back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then speaking of her feathers, so if you look, she's all white, and a lot of cockatoos are mainly like their body is all one color, and then they might have a different color marking on them. It's something called disruptive camouflage. So it's just like a zebra use. And so what happens is these guys will fly in these big flocks of hundreds. And so a predator can't tell where one stops and the next one starts, and it actually is a form of camouflage. So a very unique form of camouflage. Not a lot of animals use it. Zebra being the one that people know about the most.
I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
right? And I've heard actually the pronunciation of zebra is zebra in Africa. They call it zebra in Africa, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Fun little fact. So impress your friends and call it a zebra, not a zebra.
There you go.
And they'll say, what are you talking about?
Watch her use her foot. They have special feet called zygodactyl feet.
That's right. I've heard that term
Yeah, I
before.
use it all the time. Whenever
Yeah.
we do a segment, if you guys watch an old segment, I probably say it on there because it's
Yeah.
like literally my favorite word ever. Say it a few times. Zygodactyl foot.
Zygodactyl. Say it 5 times. Zygodactyl, zygodactyl. Nope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, but it's in place of a thumb. Helps her to climb.
I love the tongue.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that just to try to get whatever's in there?
Yeah, she just has an interesting way. She kind of turns everything into peanut butter.
So the zygodactyl, that's for the claws, right? Is
It's
that
the foot. It's the 2 toes back and the 2 toes forward, and it takes replace of our thumb.
okay? Excellent.
So.
All right. Well, we learned a lot about you, Monroe, and you are definitely a beautiful, beautiful bird. I want to see. Look at that. Very
Don't
nice.
bounce for us. Bounce, bounce.
Good job. Good job. Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Monroe, and we will see you next time for look at that Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Once again, I want to thank Grange Co-op for sponsoring the Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals and the pet family segment in general. Of course, they sponsor the Pet of the Week on Fridays as well. So, want to thank Grange Co-op, that is, for their sponsorship. Also want to thank Wind River for their sponsorship of Coffee with Krueger in general. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, we're going to take a look at our weather headlines before we get into that deeper dive forecast because we've got colder mornings. They continue. Valley fog looks to return this week, but not as bad, I'm thinking, as what we saw several weeks ago. So that's good. We're going to talk about that in a little more detail. Now, a dry pattern at least through the weekend, if not into next week. And there are small hints of wet weather as we go into next week. And we'll get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aid.
I'm Gabe Kossel with Shasta Hearing Aids. Let's talk about something I see all the time, what I call the crazy cycle. People want to hear better, but the right technology feels too expensive, so they settle for something cheaper that doesn't match their lifestyle. Our Here For You program breaks that cycle. You get the best technology at an affordable price, plus a lifetime service plan that keeps everything clean, up to date, and working exactly as it should. Our goal is to make sure no hearing aids end up in the drawer. We break the cycle and deliver what quality care really sounds like.
All right, so we take a look at the big picture here. And what I want to point out here, you see this line of clouds right here. It's fairly flat, but we're beginning to see more of an arc begin to develop. This high pressure, we've been talking about it since last week, and it's taking its time developing and getting stronger. But as we go through this week, we're going to see this ridge get stronger and stronger and stronger, build, and that's going to give us warmer temperatures And it's going to really help to set up the ingredients over the next few days for the potential of that valley fog to return. So you can see that ridge of high pressure very persistent all week long, and it's going to block any storms from moving in. They're going to move up and over that ridge. Now, as I mentioned, we could see the potential for some of that fog to develop, but we'll get into that here in just a second. But what's happening is, as we go into next week, I am seeing signs that the ridge is going to start to break down, but what happens after that, still a bit of an uncertainty. Long-range forecast models are not agreeing on timing, on if it's going to rain or snow, but what we are agreeing on is the fact that that ridge of high pressure is going to start to break down. So it's a sign of change, but exactly what kind of changes we have and when exactly those changes occur, still a bit of uncertainty there. So it's one of those stay tuned type of forecasts. We can only hope that we'll get some more snow, especially for the ski park, right? So there you are. I think it's overdoing it on that fog here this morning because we're really not seeing much of it, at least for the valley. And then for tomorrow morning, we may see fog develop again. Now, most likely, should it develop, which it may not even make as far north as Redding, but should it develop, it will most likely burn off by midday. It's most likely not going to persist throughout the day. And then even Tuesday night, we could see that fog redevelop going into Wednesday morning. And some of the factors that we look at, of course, that ridge of high pressure, stagnant air. We've got the low-level moisture from the recent rains. Winds also need to be calm for that fog to develop. Tomorrow morning, calm winds, right? Then we go into your Wednesday morning. Calm winds. Now, some of the models indicate that the winds may pick up a little bit, and we can kind of see that here. That may be enough to scour out any fog trying to develop Thursday morning and maybe even Friday morning as well. So as of right now, the best chances for fog in the valley look to be tomorrow morning, then again Wednesday morning, and then slimmer chances Thursday, Friday. But obviously something we'll have to monitor closely. And the long range still has us in the drier than normal conditions. It's not looking very promising for much in the way of rain or snow. Drought monitor, well, we talked about this last week. Chase talked about it over the weekend. The first time in 25 years, all of California is drought-free. Good news there. So our reservoirs, our lakes are doing great. Snowpack could be doing better, but it's been worse, right? Take a look at the warmer conditions that we do have in the longer range, so warmer than normal conditions. Now, what I've got here, these temperatures, the forecast models, I tell you what, they don't take into account the fact that there could be fog. If the fog develops, we're not talking 69, we're talking 59 or 55, right? But I am feeling fairly confident that we could see plenty of sunshine in parts of the valley, and that would mean temperatures flirting with 70 degrees, if not reaching 70 degrees here as we get towards the middle and latter part of this week. Lake levels are looking quite healthy. As you can see here, clearly over 100% for Lake Shasta, Trinity Lake, and Lake Oroville. Now the wave height's still a little bit strong today. They're dying down for Tuesday, but then it looks like by Wednesday they may pick back up again. North winds at 5 to 10 knots. There is a small craft advisory, and I did see some small boats going out there, so of course they're probably just taking that little bit of a risk. Taking a look at your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Let's start off with Trinity County. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s for your daytime highs, and it's getting warmer. You see those low 60s. So really the peak of that ridge of high pressure building will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then it will start to slowly break down as we go into the weekend and early next week, but still above normal temperatures even going into the weekend. And by the way, Trinity County, Del Norte, Humboldt, and Western Siskiyou County, all of the mountain valleys have a very good chance of seeing morning fog over the next several mornings. Modoc County, it's going to be cold to start, but then you warm up into those mid-50s and even around 60 by the time we get into Wednesday and Thursday. For the eastern mountains, 46 out in Susanville, 49 in Chester, 60 in Paradise and Shingletown, about 62. Very pleasant temperature-wise, right? 59 degrees in Corning, 60 in Orland. Looks like Willow's about 58 degrees. And you'll notice I've got the wording fog in there. The best chances for fog development will be tomorrow morning, and then again Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. And we take you up to the north with Redding today, mostly sunny, temperature of about 62 degrees, 65 degrees in Whiskeytown. And your 7-day forecast for Redding, morning fog. I think the best chances will be Tuesday morning, then again Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. And then it looks like the chances will be much slimmer by Thursday and Friday, where we could see highs around 70. And then we're talking those temperatures in the mid 60s by Saturday and Sunday. All right, so that's a look at your forecast for today. We're going to be kind of wrapping things up here, but I did want to check in with some of you this morning. Lisa checked in a little bit earlier, in fact, at the top of the show saying, yawn. She's young, she's very tired, obviously. It was hard to get up today. Happy Monday. Have a great day. So even though she's tired, feeling a little groggy, she's still wishing everybody a happy morning and a good day. So thank you, Lisa, for the words of encouragement. And Curtis Brown saying, good morning, Mike. Good to hear the fog won't be like last time. Most likely it won't, and that is certainly some good news. I don't think people are going to be too terribly unhappy about the fact that the fog may not be as persistent as it was a few weeks ago. All right, so that's going to do it for us this morning. What do you say we leave you with a couple of cameras this morning and see what's going on? And we're going to start with Soda Ridge. Beautiful shot. All right, that's going to be doing it for us this morning. We will see you again bright and early right here on Coffee with Krueger at 6:30. Until then, have yourselves a great morning and a great rest of your day.